And with that, welcome to the Inland Sports Show, everybody. I know the last 4 months you've all enjoyed watching me do the show from my living room. You're probably sick of it. 4 months, but we're finally back in the studio. We hope everyone is staying safe and doing well out there. We appreciate you tuning in. Big show, and our first show back in the studio here at Teen Vision TV 16. We got Matt Logan standing by, the head football coach at Centennial. We'll talk basketball, which is now a spring sport for CIF, with Hillcrest head coach Jackson Wood, and we'll wrap things up with some volleyball. Gale Johnson from Chaparral will join us here live on the show. So get ready for a lot of Zoom interviews coming your way here on the Inland Sports Show, and it doesn't get any bigger than this. He is the head football coach of the Centennial Huskies. He is always so gracious with his time for the Inland Sports Show. We appreciate it so much. Standing by live from the Evil Empire headquarters, his office, it is the great Matt Logan. So, Coach, first and foremost, how are you and how's the family?
We're all doing well. We're all safe, and just became a grandpa 6 months ago, so enjoying the little grandbaby.
Well, congratulations on that. That's always a special moment. You don't look like a grandpa, but I will say the last time I saw you, you had a pretty big beard. You're cleaned up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm trimmed up a little bit. I wanted to clean up for the show, you know.
Well, Coach, I always love talking to you. I love talking football with you. And, of course, the CIF came down and made their ruling in the CIF Southern Section, then followed that with presenting that sports calendar where football practices will begin in December, and we'll have our first games coming up in January. Just what are your general thoughts on what the football calendar is going to look like, and are you at all surprised that it was pushed back a couple months?
I'm not at all surprised. I'm glad it was pushed back and not canceled. You know, having a game in January or a season that begins in January is way better than not having a season at all. So, I was happy with the way it ended up coming out. I think, we start so early in California with football that it's so dang hot when we start. We'll actually have a winter feel and a nice cool weather, football games. I might have to even bust out some pants at some of those maybe.
Coach, we've joked about this before that, when you play at Centennial, you play deep into the season, deep into December. It's a long football season. And that affects obviously Thanksgiving plans, putting up Christmas lights on the house. A little bit different this year because the season won't start till January, but I would assume the month of December could be just as hectic as you're trying to get your team ready for that first game, which I believe would be like January 8th or so.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, our district, we have 3 weeks off in December, so there goes the Christmas vacation, So we got to, been working around the schedule right now, trying to figure out how we want to handle practices around, Christmas Eve, Christmas, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, and those things right now. So it's been kind of interesting because those all fall on Fridays. So it's kind of going to be a unique situation for us for sure.
Coach, I know there's, a lot more questions than answers right now, but what do you think the fall might look like for football? I mean, do you think it might look like what we had for, traditionally in summer, doing some 7-on-7 stuff, some conditioning, some weight room stuff? What do you think the next couple of months might look like for high school football as we get closer to December?
I think the important factor of that is just being able to get kids back on campus, and I think until that happens, then we're going to be kind of in the same situation we've been in, since March, really, and which virtually having no contact other than a Zoom meeting or something. So, until we get kids on campus, we don't really know what that's going to look like, and I'm hoping that happens sooner than later, and we can kind of get back to some normalcy. But in our regards, I think it would look a lot like spring football, with the exception of you're probably even going to maybe even start preparing for some of the opponents that you're getting ready to play, just because that time is much shorter. You're preparing 5 or 6 months out. Now you're preparing a couple months out.
Well, that first opponent was supposed to be Mater Dei, but that was a week 0 game, and when we found out that week 0 was essentially wiped away, so I know Centennial was actively looking for a week 5 opponent, which I believe is like February 5th or somewhere right around there. Right. Any update on that?
No, we've got a few leads on that, but we were able to move Mater Dei to a week 2 game, so okay. We're still going to have Mater Dei on the schedule, which we're excited about, and we're week 5 is the whole because that was our bye. So we've been talking to some really good teams, and hopefully those within the next week or two, hopefully we'll be able to have a full schedule.
I know it's always a challenge to schedule games at Centennial, but this year maybe more so because I think a lot of teams were just scrambling because that week 5 is traditionally a bye week if you play week 0. So do you feel like it's easier? There might be an easier time trying to find another opponent because that week 5 seems to be that golden week where everyone's kind of scrambling trying to find a partner.
Yeah, you know what, exactly, because everybody wants their bye going in the league. But what's interesting is with, some of the elite programs, like your Mater Dei and your Boscos, they played so many out of state opponents that they have holes all over their schedule. And some of the teams up north, your De La Salles, and then they're kind of in the same boat. So those are some of the schools we've been talking to, and the last thing you want is to play somebody twice. So we've already got 2 Trinity leagues on our preseason schedule already. So but we have talked with Bosco, we have talked with De La Salle, we've talked with numerous teams. So we don't know what's going to happen, and then it all has to kind of fit together. And nobody's really excited about playing like a game of that magnitude at week 5. But I just want to have 10 games. If we're play the allotment we've had, that 9-game season we had, or regular season we had a few years ago, was not fun. So 2 byes was not fun. So.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I forget what the year was. It was just a year or 2 ago that you had a 9-game regular season schedule. And I would think at least, for this year's senior class, you feel like, man, we got to give them a full year. Like this has been so crazy and wacky. You feel like, they deserve something nice, at least a 10-game schedule.
Absolutely. It's such a labor-intensive sport, and there's 1 game a week, and that's it. And where other sports might have 2 or 3, so which reduces the practice time and those things. So football is just a labor-intensive sport, so you want to get that reward of having those games.
Well, Coach, as soon as the CIF Southern Section, unveiled the calendar and, football would now be, I guess they're calling it spring, but technically I guess it's more of like a winter sport with January, February, March would be like your regular season games. I had a ton of coaches hit me up on social media because they've got players who, they're big-time college recruits and they could possibly, sign and traditionally they would go at the winter break and go into spring ball with their colleges. And I've had a couple coaches, I won't say their names or the specific players, but they were like, man, what am I going to do with this guy? I don't know if I'm going to have him in the spring. I know at Centennial, you always have high caliber guys like that. Is that a concern as you look ahead to the spring? Because we still don't know necessarily what colleges are going to do.
Right. Yeah. The college season hasn't been determined yet either. I've never been a big fan of that anyways. I think that, being a senior year and obviously in a normal year, you'd play your senior football season but then you would, miss out on a lot of the senior activities that second semester. I think you should enjoy it. I think that, going to college early your freshman year, that's still going to be there, whether you go in January, whether you go in September or August, it's still going to be your freshman year of college. So I've never been a huge proponent of that anyways, but, it's really up to the kids and the parents. And I think maybe if you're a position where you're a quarterback and you're vying for a starting position, then I think it's super advantageous. I think that's my opinion on it. But it's really the kids and the parents' choice. But I think they should, enjoy that senior year, get as much as they can out of it, because it's the last time they're going to be with those group of kids. And that group of kids will never be together again in terms of the classmates and those things. And just you're talking prom and senior activities that they have at the end of the year. Those are all important. That's all part of going to high school. It's the most fun year that you'll have, and so I hate it when they do that anyway. Just not a fan of that.
Coach, you mentioned quarterbacks, and I know a lot of places platooning might not work, but at Centennial it always seems to work. And then last year you had like 3 quarterbacks who were great, and they all deserve to play. What's the quarterback situation look like for this upcoming season for the Huskies?
Well, one of those 3 is returning, and Jake Retzlaff, and so he's in the spot right now. So we do have some good young talented players that are working hard, that are going to try to bide for some time and force me to platoon a little bit. So right, it'll be a good competition.
Well, Coach, I know you're always game planning, you're always plotting, trying to stay ahead of the curve. So what has Matt Logan been up to lately to at least feel like you're getting ready for the football season?
Well, if redoing your house, remodeling your house is getting ready for football season, I guess then I'm really prepared for football. But doing a lot of remodeling, a lot of work here, and then just really been in limbo because there's really not much we can do. We've been posting workouts and having the kids text their position coaches when they've completed things, and and we had Zoom meetings and did all that, and then that kind of runs its course as well. There's only so much of that you can do before you need to get on the field. So I'm excited with the announcement that January 8th is a start date, and hopefully that'll stay that way. And again, as soon as we can get back on campus and see the kids and start, working in those regards, getting them in the weight room and conditioning, and, start having a little bit of spring football in the fall, it'll be great.
With that January start date, Coach, you mentioned just being in limbo. Does it feel good at least to just have some direction at this point, at least knowing what the plan is now going forward?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's great to have a plan. And, ever since that announcement on Monday, I've been working on schedules and trying to figure out how we're going to handle these practices and those things. And, it creates another problem with a lot of schools, just, field usage. So you got soccer, lacrosse, and football in the same season right now. So there's going to be a field issue problem because, you figure you have at least 2 levels of every sport. A lot of schools have 3 levels like us. So it's tough. And we only have one field, basically. So that's going to be a separate dynamic in itself.
Well, Coach, I always appreciate the time. You look absolutely great. I'm sure all of the house projects are fantastic. I'm sure your wife is very, very happy. But football season now is right around the corner, so we can start planning for that with practices in December, games in January. Coach Matt Logan from the Centennial Huskies. Coach, always good seeing you, and be well.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. You look great, too.
You're just being nice. I've put on too much weight. My hair is all scraggly. I've been cutting my own hair in the garage. I'm a mess. But thank you anyways.
Yeah, it's because amazing how we've all become barbers all of a sudden, right?
I know. The great Matt Logan. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you. Take care.
All right, that's Matt Logan, the head football coach at Centennial High School. Join us here on the Inland Sports Show. Before we wrap up this segment, we do want to show you a game, some of the Week 0 games that were originally scheduled. And we just heard from Matt Logan that Centennial's Week 0 against Mater Dei, it's still going to happen, but not in Week 0. The Monarchs and Huskies will get together in Week number 2 of the high school football season, but the Huskies still working on Week number 5. They still need an opponent. So if you want to play Centennial, hit up Matt Logan. They need a game, Week number 5. So let's take a look at some of those other Week 0 games that were canceled. So Mater Dei versus Centennial, canceled in Week 0, gonna happen in Week number 2. That's awesome. Kaiser and the Rancho Verde High School, that's big boy football right there. San Jacinto against Chaparral. Listen, that game I was excited about. In fact, I was texting with San Jacinto head coach Eric Galliano earlier today, and I said, Coach, I wanted to see the Tigers and Pumas get together. And he said, yeah, me too, but we've got a new opponent in Week number 5. And I said, who is that? It's going to be San Jacinto taking on Redlands East Valley. Rev and San Jacinto will get together this season. Aquinas against Grace Brethren. That was a Week 0 game. Aquinas in Week 5, they picked up Upland. That could be one of the biggest games in San Bernardino County this year. I mean, if you look at the short list of the top programs, and I don't want to leave anybody out, but Aquinas, Cajon, Kaiser, Rancho Cucamonga, got to talk about the Cook, Upland. I mean, and Aquinas going up against Upland right now, that's a huge game coming up in San Bernardino County. And again, Aquinas needing an opponent, and they got the U. They got Upland coming up in Week number 5. And another one that was on the list, Beaumont against Orange Vista. So 2 programs certainly on the rise. The Zomalts at Orange Vista, Jeff Steinberg at Beaumont. An incredible couple of years at Beaumont for him. And now Beaumont, remember, is in the Citrus Belt League for this upcoming season. So some great games that they had scheduled in Week 0. As again, a lot of football teams are scrambling at this point to fill up their schedule. Like head coach Matt Logan had said, that you want a 10-game regular season schedule. You got to find another team that's got a hole in their schedule, play matchmaker, make it happen so you get all 10 regular season games. We're going to take a break here on the Inland Sports Show. When we come back, we will talk high school basketball, which is a spring sport now, with Hillcrest head coach Jackson Wood. The Inland Sports Show is proudly brought to you by Spoiled, quick quality oil change, Kin Sporting Goods, and Boost Performance Training. I'm Pep Fernandez, and we'll be right back with more Inland Sports Show.
This is Centennial High School football coach Matt Logan. You're watching the Inland Sports Show.
The Inland Sports Show is brought to you by Spoiled, quick quality oil change. Spoil yourself and your car at Spoiled. Kin Sporting Goods. They have all of your sporting gear needs, Letterman's jackets, and team uniforms. Catalano Motors in Corona off of Temescal Canyon Road. You're going to save thousands of dollars at Catalano Motors. And Boost Performance Training with Coach Ray Bass. Athletes of all levels and all sports are going to Boost Performance Training in Corona. I'm busy. I got things to do. But I really need an oil change. I just need something fast and affordable. Well, I'm right off the 91 in Arlington. Let's go check out Spoiled. And they even got a 10-minute oil change special. I love it.
And then lastly, how do you switch it?
Stickers up, lights reset on day 1.
Okay, looks like you're all set.
Have a good one.
Thank you guys, I appreciate it.
Thanks for everything.
Spoiled, quick, quality oil change right off the 91 freeway at Arlington.
I would say the one thing that we stress more than anything else is service to our customer. Make sure that they're taken care of, whatever you can do to make sure that that order gets to them on time and it's the right quality and what they want. I've been that way since 1976. That was my goal, to reach out to local sports programs, and it's grown from there, and we've been very, very fortunate. My grandson is right over here. He's working for us, and he's going to college right now, and that's exactly what my son did 20-some years ago, and it keeps on going, you know. Customers that come in the store that it's amazing. People that I haven't been here since I was a little kid, and I used to come in here all the time, and then now I'm bringing my son in here, or a grandpa that's bringing his grandson in here that came in here when we first opened back in '76. We just feel so fortunate to have been a part of this community and this Inland Empire for going into our 44th year now, and it's just been a blessing.
And welcome back to the Inland Sports Show. A big thanks to the great Matt Logan at Centennial High School, talking some football. Centennial versus Mater Dei in week number 2. So football now, they're calling it a spring sport, but really it's a winter sport as they start games in January. And basketball for CIF is now a spring sport, actually going into June now. It's going to be wacky, but we're going to get some hoops. Joining us live on the show, and man, he looks great. We had Matt Logan and now Jackson Wood, two of the best looking guys around. He's the head basketball coach for Hillcrest High School, a CIF champion, and he's joining us live. Coach, first off, I mean, you got a great flow going. You got the handlebar mustache. I mean, you look like life is great right now.
It's my quarantine project, so it's turning out okay. I'm having a little bit of fun with it.
And you've got a new baby in the household as well, right?
Yeah, Carlos. He's almost 5 months. He was born on February 26th, so I'm surprised. You know, I don't look way worse. I had to go up there and put a little makeup on for the show, but. Yeah, he's a handful.
Well, not to pry too much into your personal life, but you guys have baby Carlos really essentially at the onset, at the forefront of this whole pandemic. What was it kind of strange, or maybe at least in your personal situation, there was a silver lining because you guys were able to stay home and bond with your new baby because we were all forced to stay home?
Yeah, luckily we were kind of a little blind to everything going on at the time. It was actually the Wednesday before our CIF finals game on Saturday that he was born, and everything was being downplayed at that time. So I don't even think we were really talking about, you know, the coronavirus much at all amongst ourselves. So that wasn't really on our mind. For me, it was the CIF game. And I think I'm always going to blame this loss on him. He's never going to hear the end of it until we win another one, at least, if we're lucky enough to do so. But yeah, so he was born on Wednesday, and then I missed Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then I contemplated whether I should show up to the game or not. And I kind of asked around, asked some of my friends, some of my colleagues, and I just showed up to the game on Saturday. And I felt like I could have done better. And usually I don't have that feeling. Sometimes as coaches, we don't bring our all, and we recognize it, but this one was clear. I think I could have done a lot better job. So I'm always going to kick myself about that one.
Well, you are a 2008 champion, a 2020 runner-up, and just don't show Carlos this show like, 10 years from now and be like, what, Dad, that was my fault? You guys didn't win in 2020 because of me?
Oh, he's always going to hear about it.
Well, Coach, so we get the news from CIF, and finally we get some direction on what the sports calendar is going to look like. And there was a couple sports that I think got shifted a little more than others, and basketball will now go into the month of June. We'll have playoffs in June, and I expect Hillcrest to be there, and I'm sure you do as well. What did you think when you saw the calendar, and now basketball will start, I guess, maybe a couple months later than normal, and now be more of a spring sport?
It was kind of a whirlwind, and knowing that I was coming on this show, I did a little bit of a homework, but I kind of wanted to just let everything settle before I dove in. So I watched CIF's press conference on YouTube and did a little bit of reading. And hopefully, like you said, we're playing in June, and maybe it'll have that NBA Finals appeal. But my main hope and main concern is that everybody could just do their part to do what's right, and hopefully we get the chance to play. As the commissioner kind of alluded to, there's always the possibility, like baseball was shut down last year or this spring, that the same could happen to football and then basketball and all the other sports. So at this point, I'm just hoping we get to play.
Coach, I know over the summer, there's some, summer league basketball and stuff like that you would probably normally be doing if all things were equal and this was just kind of a normal summer. What do you think between now and, I don't know when you can start practices, is it February or March or somewhere in that ballpark, but what can you do between now and then to, hopefully do something as a team to kind of get ready? I know we need, some guidance from public health officials and your administration and whatnot, but hopefully there's some things that you can do as a team to kind of get ready for that February, March restart.
Yeah, that was one of the things I was wondering about myself. For some reason, I thought I saw first practice day on March 1st. But then when I went back to do my homework, I couldn't find that date anymore. So maybe it was just in my head. But like Coach Logan talked about, I'm not planning on doing anything until we hear from our school administrators and until we're back in school. So I also watched Governor Newsom's press conference on YouTube. So at this point, I'm not planning on doing anything until we transition from distance learning to hybrid learning. And who knows when that's going to be. As far as the commissioner's press conference went, it sounds like from now up until December, early January, it's kind of going to be treated as summer league, basically. So you're allowed to kind of play in contests. If you have your principal's approval, he was saying you could represent Hillcrest, or your school. But what a lot of coaches do, if it's an unofficial event or something like that, and you're not going to be Hillcrest, we would kind of enter a tournament as the Trojans, or you would just have a nickname where everybody knows it's Hillcrest, but you're not technically Hillcrest. So it's open to be summer league style, as my interpretation goes, but we're not going to be practicing or doing anything until our kids are back in school. So what we've been doing now is just meeting on Google Meet, once or twice. And no offense to Zoom, but all our kids are signed up through Google. So we meet on there, and I've done show and tell with the kids, and we kind of just check in and try to hold each other accountable to make sure that we're all getting better as individuals, because the championships that are going to be won in June are being decided right now, and there's not much that the coaches could do. So a lot of it's on the players, and I just want to convey that message to them.
Coach, you know, we're going to have Gale Johnson from Chaparral in our next segment. And I know for like volleyball, you know, their season's going to spill into what would normally be the club season. And I don't know how that affects basketball, but we heard from the CIF that you can play high school and you can play club at the same time, which is definitely different than, you know, what the rules used to be, but we're living in different times now. Is there some sort of a crossover, or is there concerns maybe between basketball and club teams on the side?
I think the basketball guys will come to an understanding or kind of an informal agreement, because we both need each other, and the same is probably true for any sport. I mean, the high school coaches need the support of the AAU travel ball coaches, and likewise, they need our support as well. So hopefully we just come to some sort of understanding. If I had to decide right now off the top of my head, I mean, I think they could kind of have their run at it up until, you know, we're back in school, or up until March. You know, when the games get ready to start, I would say it's fine. But hopefully once the games start in March, then they'll be able to take their break, and then we can figure everything back up in the summer in June.
I think March Madness is going to take on a new meaning, because we're going to have like the start of basketball season in March, when you would normally, I guess, be probably in the state playoffs at that point if you play that deep, you know, into the season. Let's talk about some basketball. You know, we're kind of getting sick and tired of talking about the pandemic all the time. Talk about your team that's coming back. Do you like this group that went to a finals game last year?
Oh, I love this group. Our JV team was really great, and I was able to rotate a lot of those guys up to get some varsity experience, and I think that's going to really pay off, since we're missing out on all this time where the younger guys would be playing summer leagues and playing fall leagues to get ready for that varsity level of competition that they really just don't know about until they actually get out there and play it. So I'm really excited. The younger guys will be ready to step up. We have a lot of guys coming back. We have 4 or 5 key varsity players, you know, 3 or 4 starters. We have Jason Wiltz, who's entering his senior year, Keith Hall Jr. Those guys could both really score. We got Devin Boletto to set them up. We got some younger guys coming in to fill in. And then our centerpiece for the next 3 years is going to be Dennis Evans. And if you guys haven't seen this guy yet, you got to get out to see him. He's a great kid. Super nice on and off the court, and that's part of his problem. As one of the spectators at Rupa Hills told him, he needs to get nasty when he's on the court. He's a little too nice, but he's getting better every day. He's growing every day, so who knows how tall he is now. The last time I saw him, he was about 6'11", but he's going to be something special these next couple years.
Yeah, that was my next question, Coach. How tall is Dennis right now? And he's a kid. He's still growing.
Yeah, he just turned 15 on July 13th. I measured him at the start of our season last year, and he was 6'11". From what I've heard, he's as tall as 7'1" with a 7'4" wingspan. Wow. But you never know sometimes. So I haven't seen him since March, you know. So who knows how tall he is now, because like you said, he's still growing. He just barely turned 15. So sky's the limit for him, literally.
Well, you're going to have a fun group when you guys are back on the court together, and you're going to be one of the best-looking teams, because we love Ken Sporting Goods on this show. And I was looking at your Twitter feed, and you had some sweet new unis, I think, from Ken's, right?
Yeah, Adam at Ken's really knows how to hook it up. If you guys need jerseys, he'll get on there. He'll let you design, and he's really easy to work with. So I love Ken's, and I'm glad that they were able to help us out.
Well, Coach, you've got good-looking uniforms. Your hair's impeccable. The handlebar mustache. You got a new baby in the house. We all love Carlos. You're looking great, man. You're on cloud 9 right now.
I wish Jeff was on here to see it, because we had a summer school meeting at the start of the summer, and his wife was on there, and I think he was creeping in the background. He saw the start of the stash, but now I'm trying to get it to come out, and I'm trying to get like the hipster beard where it kind of grows in underneath, and maybe I could go to Wolf Skills and not be the old guy anymore. You know?
You'll fit right in.
Hey, hopefully we could get back to that, and everybody could go out and have a good time and support the local businesses. We just got to wear a mask right now and distance socially when we can, and we could all get through this together, be positive, and we'll make it.
Hey, Coach, because we're friends and I love Jeff like a brother, I'm gonna go full disclosure right now. So Jeff was gonna be here, and he texted me this afternoon, and he said, the dryer in his house broke, and the dryer repairman was coming later this afternoon. He wasn't sure when, and he couldn't commit. That's full disclosure. I love you, Jeff. Jackson loves you too, but that's the truth, and people need to know that. So, Jackson Wood, the head basketball coach at Hillcrest High School. Coach, congratulations on the new baby. I know it's been a couple months, but I just want to say congratulations again to you and your wife. And we'll talk again as we get closer to the basketball season.
Anytime. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
I appreciate that. Jackson Wood, head basketball coach at Hillcrest High School in Riverside. And again, getting those sweet new uniforms from Ken's Sporting Goods. When we come back here on the Inland Sports Show, we will talk volleyball. The volleyball season will start in December, one of the first sports to start on the new CIF calendar. When we come back, Gale Johnson from Chaparral will join us live here on the Inland Sports Show.
This is Alexander Madison. You're watching the Inland Sports Show.
So with our school program, it's called BASS, the Boost Alternative School for Student Athletes. We've had our school for about 3 years now. We're going to be opening up enrollment for the 2020-2021 school year. And if you really want to get involved, it's all referral based. You either have to come speak with us directly, or if you know someone who's currently in the program. But it's a great program. It's all the meat and potatoes of just your rigorous academic program and a complete collegiate strength and speed development program as well. It's a real collegiate vibe. It challenges the kids. It's not an easy program by any means, but we've had a lot of growth with our student athletes as they move on to high school, whether they're going to a public school or private school. It's a program that really prepares you, not just academically, but physically for the next level.
From Spoiled in Riverside. Just opened up our new location off the 91 in Arlington and Riverside. Come check us out and get spoiled for a change.
The Inland Sports Show is brought to you by Spoiled. Quick, quality oil change. Spoil yourself and your car at Spoiled. Ken Sporting Goods. They have all of your sporting gear needs, Letterman's jackets, and team uniforms. Boost Performance Training with Coach Ray Bass. Athletes of all levels and all sports are going to Boost Performance Training in Corona. Mike's Fitness Equipment. Check out the new storeroom on La Cadena. Quality fitness equipment at affordable prices. Mike's Fitness Equipment. And JoJo's Grill-A-Dog, located in the Mountain Grove Shopping Center in Redlands. Let's be frank, not all dogs are created equal. JoJo's Grill-A-Dog.
.96.7 KCal Rocks. What's up? It's Patrick and 40. Hey man, you're watching the Inland Sports Show right here. Make sure you check out Pep Man. It's Inland Sports with Pep, but he's on every Monday and Thursday morning with Sports with Pep Man. You guys rock!
And welcome back to the Inland Sports Show. A big thanks to Matt Logan, football coach at Centennial, Jackson Wood, head basketball coach at Hillcrest High School. Now we're talking some volleyball with Gale Johnson, the head volleyball coach at Chaparral, the Chaparral Pumas. And Coach, first off, thank you for taking time to join us here on the show. And what I like to ask everyone first and foremost, because it's the most important, how are you? How's the family? Everyone doing well in the Johnson household?
Yes, we're all well. Thank you. How are you?
You know, all things considered, we're doing pretty well. This is our first show back in the studio in 4 months. In fact, our director, Johnny, I think he might know the exact date. I think it was March 11th. We were doing a show right here when everything just kind of unraveled all at once and the school shut down. And so it's good to be back in studio. And it's also good that we just have some guidance, some direction now from the CIF on what that sports calendar is going to look like. And I know for volleyball, which is traditionally a fall sport, you guys will get going with matches, it looks like, in December. What was your first impression of when you got the news and what the volleyball season was going to look like?
Well, I'm grateful to know that we're going to have a season, but it'll be interesting to see the way it all shakes down with club volleyball, because we have a lot of kids who missed a very important club season with volleyball where a lot of the recruiting's done. And a lot of kids in our league, especially in my program, if they're playing at the varsity level, they're trying to play in college, and most likely they will get college scholarships. So missing out on that year in club was huge. So if it comes down to where they're going to have to pick one or the other, my team might look a lot different. I'm assuming clubs will work with us, but I'm just hoping it doesn't come down to one or the other. So because club's going to be going at the same time. So it just puts us in an interesting position that I didn't see us in. But like I said, I'm grateful we're going to have a season. So it'll just be interesting the way to see it all, how it all plays out.
Yeah, I mean, because again, traditionally, you couldn't play club during your season of sport for CIF, but all that's kind of been thrown out the window because of this pandemic. So we just had a basketball coach on who was kind of talking about the same thing. Like, you could be playing high school volleyball and club volleyball at the same time. It is legal this season. I don't know if it'll stay this way going forward, but at least for this year, it is legal. And for your players at Chaparral, and as you mentioned, the whole Southwestern League, you've got elite high school volleyball players who are being heavily recruited by colleges. Could you envision a scenario where, Monday through Friday they're playing for Chaparral, and then on Saturday and they're gone at a tournament? That's a lot of volleyball.
It is a lot of volleyball, and so you worry about overtraining. So, but if we can work with the clubs, which I hope we can hopefully try to avoid overtraining issues. So it would have to be, maybe a couple days with us, a couple days with them. I don't know how we can make it work. I mean, I feel like the kids have already missed out on so much. They shouldn't have to pick. Hopefully they can do both. So we have time, though. We have months to try to put a plan in place that we can work with the clubs, the local clubs. And then, we also have kids who play club in San Diego. So they might have to pick, they can't, with the driving time, I don't know if they'd be able to play high school and then drive to San Diego. So I'm hoping we have enough time here in the next few months to try to put something in place to make both work for the kids so they don't have to pick, because they've already missed out on too much, I think.
Yeah, that's a great point, too. You simply just cannot be two places at the same time. Like, you can't commute to San Diego and be at a practice in Temecula or Murrieta or wherever the case may be. That's something else to consider as well. Coach, I wanted to ask you, is it going to be kind of strange when we get to August and September and October and you're like, we've got no matches. This has never happened. It's the month of August and September and I'm home.
Yes, I mean, without volleyball, without football, without all of it. I mean, I'm sad that I'm not, I'll miss all of it.
Yeah, my wife, since 2000, every fall, has been consumed by high school football. It's basically what I've done for a long, long time. And she's like, wow, you're going to be home a lot? Like, on Halloween night or Thanksgiving, like, you're going to be around? Like, this is amazing.
Oh, well, that'll be nice for you. I mean, so there are a few good things, I guess.
Yeah, we are glass half full in the Fernandez house. So we try to stay optimistic and look for the silver lining in a lot of this stuff. But I did want to ask about your squad. Talk about the Chaparral team that you will have when the season starts with your first games in December. What do you like about this group?
well, if I keep all of my players and don't lose any to club, I think we'll be pretty strong because I'll have a lot of experienced kids. I only lost a couple. And so I return my setter who runs the offense. I have some big hitters. I have a strong right side. So with strong pins and a good middle and a great setter, and some experience so we can execute. I think we would be really, really strong, stronger than we've been in a long time. So I'll be really sad if I lose some of them, so we'll see how it goes. It'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out.
Well, Coach.
But if any volleyball player is watching right now, they need to start preventing injuries. They need to start doing shoulder rehab, strengthening their legs. They have to strengthen their bodies so they can withhold and withstand the training.
Coach, that was my next question, because here we are at the end of July, and if you don't have matches until December 18th or whatever that date is, you're only going to have a couple weeks of practice leading into those first games in December. We've got 3-4 months of just kind of downtime. Is that, the advice you would give to not only your players, but just players out there, is just kind of be ready, make sure your body is ready for that upcoming season?
Yes, especially if they jump into both. So just think, you go from doing nothing to playing both club and high school. Just think of how much jumping that is. That's so much on the knees. That's so much on the shoulder. That's so much on the back. So their bodies are going to have to be stronger than they've ever been. So, but they have access to so much through Instagram, through Google, YouTube. They can Google workouts, just body strengthening. They can work on their technique. You don't even need a ball to learn how to make your approach better, like jumping on 2 feet, landing on 2 feet. They need to get better at that. There's so many things you can work on to improve during this time that you don't even need a ball for.
Coach, I did want to ask you, you've got daughters who play volleyball. Mm-hmm. You're a coach. You're also the mom. How do you balance that? Between coaching during the match, and do you talk about it in the ride home, and then when you walk through the front door, you turn it off? How does that work?
Well, when I'm coaching, I don't see them as my kids because I'm just so focused on everything else that's going on, just breaking down the game, making adjustments. So, and then when I get home, I try not to talk to them too much unless they come to me, because I'll make them crazy. I have to turn it off. Like when we would go to games when I was their club coach, and in the car on the way home, I would say, well, this and this, and they would go like this.
Yeah.
Like they would look out the window, not even wanting to talk to me. So I learned my lesson.
Yeah, that is a delicate balance. I always like to talk to the coaches who have to coach their own kids and see how that works out, because I know that could be, again, delicate, how you balance between on the court and home life, right?
And it's tough because my daughter's going to be a senior at Shap, and all of her friends are volleyball players, so they're over here all the time as well. So, that's interesting too. That creates another dynamic.
You got to have your best behavior around coach at all times, even at her house.
Or if I'm like, if I didn't play them enough, or I'm like, oh man, there's just so many dynamics, many layers.
Oh, the life of a high school varsity coach. Yeah, that is a challenge, and this year could be more challenging than any other as we get ready to start in December. And again, having to navigate through a lot of things that we haven't experienced before as we get ready for another volleyball season. Coach, I really appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time to join us on the show. I'm glad to hear you and your family are doing well, and I can't wait to see some volleyball in December.
Yes, thank you for having us, or me, and letting us talk about Shap. Thank you.
Appreciate it. That's Coach Gale Johnson from Chaparral talking a little volleyball here on the Inland Sports Show. Thank you, Coach. Bye. All right, that's the head coach of the Pumas. Join us live here on the show. When we come back, we're going to wrap things up here on the Inland Sports Show. Quick notes from the college world. Some of the colleges have a little bit of direction now of what they're going to do going forward, like CIF for high school sports. We'll bring you up to date on the college scene when we come back on the Inland Sports Show.
What's going on, guys? This is Ray Bass from Boost Performance Training. You're watching the Inland Sports Show with the one and only Pep Fernandez.
The Inland Sports Show is brought to you by Spoiled. Quick, quality oil change. Spoil yourself and your car at Spoiled. Kin Sporting Goods. They have all of your sporting gear needs, Letterman's jackets, and team uniforms. Boost Performance Training with Coach Ray Bass. Athletes of all levels and all sports are going to Boost Performance Training in Corona. Mike's Fitness Equipment. Check out the new storeroom on La Cadena. Quality fitness equipment at affordable prices. Mike's Fitness Equipment. And JoJo's Grill-A-Dog, located in the Mountain Grove Shopping Center in Redlands. Let's be frank, not all dogs are created equal. JoJo's Grill-A-Dog.
What I think separates Boost from a lot of other performance gyms out there is really our attention to detail with our athletes. You know, we have small group sessions, whether it's speed or strength training, by CSCS coaches, so you're getting collegiate level coaches in small group setting, and it really gives us an opportunity to build an intimate relationship with our athletes, really make sure they're hitting their goals. You know, I know all my athletes by name. It's a real family-like environment. We're a tight-knit gym with expert coaching, but we like it that way because we want to ensure that all of our athletes are getting better, all of our athletes are moving forward. So it's definitely not easy. We push our athletes, we have fun, but if you're the kind of athlete that likes to be pushed and you want to get better, you care about results, you got to come check us out.
First of all, I thank the great people that I've got around me that help support me, the people that work for me. As I started, if it wasn't for the people around me, we probably wouldn't be here right now, but I've got a great staff. I've got great people that do stuff for us outside the store, and we've been very, very fortunate. Our service is impeccable, and we just keep trying to get better every year. We can do online stuff for your teams, as well as, like I said, the screen printing, the embroidery. We also have 3 women that do extra sewing for us, like tackle tool on uniforms, or the bling or rhinestones for different shirts for the ladies. That's why we have certain racks just for certain schools, and the fun about that is that it turns into other schools that may come in here that aren't as close, that we can do stuff for them as well. We've had very, very good customers throughout the years, and it's just been a blast.
What's up, everybody? Don't forget, there's 2 Spoiled locations now. I'm at the brand new one right off the 91 freeway at Arlington. You can spoil yourself. You can spoil your car. You come in here, 10 minutes, you're in and you're out. You're back on the road. Go check out Spoiled, local business, locally owned and operated. And they've got the location off the 215 freeway at Alessandro. And this one, the brand new one here off of the 91 at Arlington.
I felt spoiled. It was great. I got in easy. I mean, the price was the best. The price is just helped me out. And what I really enjoyed about it is that they explained to me what was going on today. And I feel like when I walked out of here, I just felt so special. I said I had a new boyfriend. His name is Spoiled.
You got your flower.
And I got your flower.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Inland Sports Show. My name is Pep Fernandez. We are live and amplified from Teen Vision TV 16. It feels so good to be back. I know you guys probably all loved getting a sneak peek into my living room, my messy living room, but we're back in studio, and it feels good. So we appreciate you tuning in each and every Wednesday night, 6 o'clock, although first pitch is probably more like 6:05 p.m. if we want to be technical, but we appreciate you tuning in. Big thanks to Gale Johnson. Big thanks to Jackson Wood. Big thanks to you, Matt Logan, as well. But we want to quickly just wrap things up with a couple quick notes from the college scene. We've got a picture from California Baptist University, and I'm hoping this will bring a little bit of hope to everyone out there who wants to see some local sports soon, because we know teams, even those football teams out there trying to do summer workouts, they've been shut down. Nothing really going on, but this is CBU. The basketball teams are back on campus at California Baptist University, and they are doing practices outside. They are not in the arena right now. Again, the state order about social gatherings indoors. They are being innovative. They are outside, practicing outside as a team, social distancing, the whole thing, being safe, men's and women's basketball team. So it can be done. In fact, it's happening right here in the Inland Empire. So kudos to CBU. Good to see that. From head coach Rick Croy and head coach Jared Olson and all the administration out there at CBU. So I know it feels like baby steps, but we do have some practices going on right here in the IE. Summer workouts there and conditioning outside. A couple other just quick notes. The Big West Conference says they will make a decision on what their fall sports calendar will look like by August 1st. The Western Athletic Conference, which is part of, CBU's part of, still waiting for a definitive answer what they will do exactly with their calendar. And the CCC2A, the governing body for junior colleges across the state of California, they have said everything is going to the spring. So they will have an early spring and a late spring. And part of that early spring will be football. So football practices for JCs, including RCC, SBVC, MSJC, the whole shebang, they will start practices in December. Games will start in February. So spring football will be big time here in the IE with all those high school games. We got the college games as well. So the springtime, assuming things continue to improve, and we are praying that they do, we will have a lot of football in February, March, and April, and I will be here for all of it. Can't wait. We appreciate you tuning in. We hope you're doing well out there. Keep safe. Keep your family safe. And for Johnny Nunez, our director behind the scenes here at Teen Vision TV 16, my name is Pep Fernandez. We're the only ones here. This is Skeleton Crew. There's no one else here, but we will hopefully welcome people back, introduce them as things get a little safer around us as well. My name is Pep Fernandez, and we will see you again next Wednesday night with another Inland Sports Show.